What are three things that you think of when you think of Chicago? What do people think of? The Blues Brothers,
Al Capone, sadly.
right? And Ferris
Michael
Bueller.
Jordan.
Michael Jordan, yeah,
Michael
the
Jordan.
Bulls,
Yeah.
right? But today we're here to talk about retail real estate with one of the biggest retail, certainly the biggest retail market in the Midwest, right?
Absolutely.
It is the Midwest retail destination, and we're here talking with Wally Wahlfeldt, my coworker at JLL. Live from New York, it's Where We Buy. That's right, you're listening to Where We Buy. It's the show where we talk with retail experts and we visit the places where we buy. My name is James Cook. I research retail and real estate for JLL. Today we're recording live from the JLL booth at ICSC New York. Wally, what's your title?
Senior Managing Director of Retail. I'm also the Midwest Retail Lead.
Wally, how do you describe, like at a cocktail party, what your job is?
What a great question. It's also the answer to the question that I have to give to my family when they say, "What do you do again, Dad?"
Yeah. What does Dad do?
The quick question, or the quick answer is, if you were a retailer and suddenly maybe you got an investment partner and the investment partner said, "Yeah, I know you have 10 stores today, but I'd like to partner with you, and by the end of the year, I'd like 100, right? What would you do?" So you either could hire a bunch of staff as quickly as possible, which quickly as possible could still take a very long time, or you could hire a third party who would start tomorrow. So that's what we do. We help retailers grow.
Got it. And you're based out of Chicago, so the big story, well, there's a lot of big stories, but in my mind, the CBD is a big one. Got really hit by the pandemic.
It did.
Really, office workers all went to their homes. How are we in terms of that recovery, and then how does that relate back to retail?
So by the numbers, and I will give a shout out to Castle Systems, who is kind of the leading provider of data around return to office. And how they do that is they're the system that you swipe when you enter your office building. So if you measure swipes, you know how often people are coming back, what days they come back. Chicago's in the top 3 markets in the country, ironically ahead of New York, as bustling as it feels here today. But we're in the top 3 markets in the country return to work. And
really?
The 3 markets, Dallas, Houston, and Chicago. You look at Dallas and Houston, Texas probably didn't feel the impact of COVID as much as Chicago, because Chicago, a lot of public transportation, it's a denser market. But I think we're really proud of the fact that Chicago is right up there with Dallas and Houston in terms of return to work. So the numbers were hovering around 70% back on average, but that average is skewed because it's not 5 days. It's a bell curve that starts Monday and goes up. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are really high return, and then Friday drops off again.
So that real big difference, which I think at this point we can call it permanent, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
People have adjusted.
So that difference means there's a different level of retail spending by that daytime population. Does that translate into rents, retail rents?
It does. So, what everyone is trying to do right now, and it hasn't been figured out, but it's in the process, is what is the new structure? What does retail look like in the central business district? If you are a retailer, do you even staff on a Monday, for example? Do you reduce staff? Do you offer, let's say if you're a restaurant, do you have a lesser offering or limited hours, right? If you're a landlord and you've had looking at empty spaces and you need to fill them and you've seen people back and demand is back, what creative structure, what rent structure can you offer that retailer that makes them healthy, makes them operate healthy, and allows the space to be filled again?
Historically, the probably premier shopping spot in Chicago is Michigan Avenue. Right. There's been different stories about retail on Michigan Avenue, kind of, oh, it's down, oh, but it's coming back, oh, but it's down again, oh, but it's coming back. Like, as long as I've been studying retail, there's been a story. Where are we at on that curve right now with Michigan Avenue?
So the high rent for Michigan Avenue, which was pre-COVID, was around $500 a foot. That's not Gold Coast, which is much higher, but the main drag, the Magnificent Mile, that was about $500. It was kind of the high rent marker. Today, we're getting around 75% of that. So what we have been telling folks for a while is Michigan Avenue's on sale. Get in here now because rents are going, and they're continuing to go up. There's been some great retailers that have come to Michigan Avenue, Aritzia, Alo Yoga, a handful of high-end jewelry stores that have come in. So we've seen really strong interest in returning to Michigan Avenue. Michigan Avenue will be just fine because there's so many tourists.
Yeah, it's
right?
Always bustling.
Always
in the season. Yeah.
And the Gold Coast area, sort of Oak Street, Rush Street, there's no space left.
So for folks that aren't familiar, let's describe, how do you explain, if they haven't been to Michigan, Oak, Rush, what makes each different?
So the main drag, Michigan Avenue, that's where big space is. So if you need to open up a 30,000 square foot, that's where Nike Town is. That's where the Polo store is. The Harry Potter experience just opened on Michigan Avenue. It's a big store. Oak Street and Rush and Walton, Prada would go there, right? A 1,200 square foot, very high end jewelry store would go there. So, different shopping experience. Different rent levels, more luxury is in the Gold Coast, where Michigan Avenue, big experience stores. We have 2 vertical malls on Michigan Avenue, Water Tower Place and Shops in Northbridge. It's just a different experience, but both very much are visited by locals as well as tourists.
So there are 2 malls on Michigan Avenue, which is, I think, unique for a high street. The story on those is I feel like Water Tower Place went back to the lender a while back, so there's been some struggling. Where are we at with those malls?
So, I think that the vertical malls, certainly Water Tower Place was the original, kind of had its day.
Yeah.
And today's retailers just, if they're in a downtown central business district, they want to be street level. They want to get that visibility. So what you'll see is an adaptation of Water Tower Place. It won't go away. Many of the higher floors will be converted to alternative use, medical, office. And so maybe you're looking at 2 or 3 levels of retail.
Okay.
Shops of Northbridge, which is anchored by Nordstrom, it was challenging in terms of the footprint to put it in there. So it always struggled a bit, but it had a nice high-end mix. I think it needs, I'd say almost everyone would tell you, it needs to be re-tenanted, recurated, but I think it'll be healthy. I think it'll be fine.
Gotcha. So it's just a matter of some creative new use.
Exactly. Creative curation, right? The right tenant mix.
Gotcha. What is the right kind of tenant? I guess you sort of explained it, but what doesn't Michigan Avenue have that it could use?
Well, I think we'd love to see more unique, sort of entertainment focused. You come to Chicago if you're a tourist and you want to go to the Mile, right? You want to go shop the Mile. But if you go to the Mile and all you see is, there's the Under Armour store and there's Uniqlo and there's Macy's, and I could have seen all of this in Seattle or Atlanta or whatever. What you'll go there now and see, though, is the Starbucks roastery. Very few of those. The Harry Potter store, I think, is 2 right now in New York and Chicago. You want these unique experiences are what sells the Mile, and that's what people want. Put something in there that's unique and different. So ownership has to be creative.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point, offering something that gets people off the street is tough when the street is vibrant.
Food. So a food offering. And not necessarily food hall, but a curated food experience.
And there is, speaking of food, there is an Eataly not on Michigan Avenue, but
right off
close.
Michigan Avenue.
Yeah. And that's been a huge driver. That was probably the first one in the Midwest.
Without a doubt.
Or that might be the only one in the Midwest.
It was one of the larger ones at the time. It was over 30,000 still is over 30,000 square feet. They've renewed. Very successful. That's a great attraction.
Yeah.
Now, it's not as unique as it used to be, right? There are others in other cities, but it's still, they do a great job. It's very unique, and I think tourists really appreciate it.
Right. Okay, so anything else I should ask you about the CBD, or we can move on to...
I will say, one of the things about the Central Business District that is exciting for us is the investment by Google.
Oh, tell me about that.
Right in the heart of the city was a state building, the State of Illinois building, a massive Helmut Jan full block building.
So what I'm picturing it's like glass and it's really weird.
It's Helmut Jan. It's a very unique architecture, but a big glass spaceship almost that looks like it landed in the middle city.
Yeah. When was that built? Do you know? Because it looks like
I would guess maybe late 70s,
yeah,
early 80s.
I was going to say it looks like a 70s build.
Yeah. But it also has a train station in it.
Oh.
It's connected to the pedway. So for years we were afraid that it was going to, because the state moved out. So we were afraid it was going to be mothballed, maybe even demolished and replaced. And thankfully, Google committed to, they purchased the building and with a developer, and it's in the process of being completely redeveloped for Google's central office in Chicago. That will absolutely, and it already has, it's already started to initiate activity in the blocks around it where we needed it most, the actual central part of the city.
And I guess for a while, I guess you could call it the hot spot for office really was like the Fulton Market area. Is that fair?
It's been the hottest area. Yeah, the old Central Business District is where the oldest buildings are. Makes sense. And those, as office space during COVID started to churn and folks said, well, maybe I need half as much office space. Well, I can upgrade. If I need smaller space, I can pay more in a nicer building. Well, those new buildings were all on the outskirts of the Central Business District. Well, they're done. They're full.
Yeah.
You want Class A premium space. There's very little left. So, people are looking back to that Central Business District. Can we renovate some of these? Can we do some creative things with hotels and residential and make the street more dynamic, LaSalle Street, the main corridor? So, yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that people are working on right now, and a lot of it is around that Google Chicago headquarters.
Okay, so we talked a bit about sort of the place you as a tourist might go to visit, Chicago, but let's talk about the people who actually live there. What's the state of suburban retail? I mean, is it as strong in Chicago as it is across the U.S.?
Yeah, so we probably experienced what so many big markets did, which is the folks that were going 5 days a week into the central city were working from their homes, but they still wanted to go out, and so suburban leasing blew up. And we already had low vacancy, and partly because development really kind of stopped 08, 09, but the limited space that we had in the suburbs just got filled. So it became very tight, rents went up. But now I think what you're seeing is sort of that feeling of, wow, I miss the city. I miss the excitement of the city.
Yeah.
Especially younger people, they want to work, they don't want to work virtual. They want to be back in the hustle and bustle of the city, in an office with other people. And so you're now starting to see this gravity come back. So although I think suburbs very healthy, stronger than we've seen in a long time, we are starting to see a little bit of development pop up, not major yet because of costs and financing rates, but the activity and the demand is starting to shift again. Someone on my team recently said, oh yeah, the retailers are smelling the blood in the water. They're seeing the demand back in the city.
Wow.
And so they're looking again. Just recently, like last few months, activity's really picked up.
When a retailer, say a new retailer, is expanding and they're looking across the U.S., is Chicago number 3 on the target list? Like, they're like, okay, we're going to do, New York, LA, and then Chicago third, or where are you guys on that list?
We're probably 4th or 5th.
Oh, really?
Especially
okay.
if you're an international retailer. It's New York, it's LA, it's Miami.
Miami, of course.
Right. So, no, I mean, Chicago's always in the top 5 because just sheer density, right? Yeah. And if you're going to commit to a city, depending on the concept, right? If you're a grocer, for example, you don't open one. You're never going to make it. You need to build your brand, get recognition, so you commit to a plan. You don't even, it's not 5, it's not 10. You're going to go 25 stores in a big, 10 million person MSA. So, I think we're also a little bit more affordable than some of those markets. I think the pros and cons, right? Some of the cons of Chicago, the taxes are high. Yeah, they are, but the staffing costs are lower, or housing costs are lower. So it's great to build a base there. So we're typically almost always in the top 5.
Okay, gotcha. So it's pretty high on the list. Are you seeing more new entrants to the market right now? Has that sped up, slowed down?
I'd say it's not as strong as it was, 20 years ago. But, I think we've seen, we're working with Sprouts Grocery, which is think about grocery, because, any market knows, you ask anybody, they know what their dominant grocer is. They know what the second, third tier grocers are. Chicago right now is sort of lacking a dominant grocer. We used to have Dominick's, we don't anymore. And so, there's been a lot of grocery entry into the market, which is nice, especially if you're a resident. Great to have all that choice.
So would you say there's a grocery war going on in
There is
Chicago?
A little bit of a grocery war, right? Yeah, and there's different categories, right? All these very aggressive, and they're at the lower cost. Sprouts is much higher. It's much closer. It's not quite at Whole Foods, but it's a higher end. And then we've got the classics, the Albertsons back to Jewel, for example. So you've got great, you got a great mix. But there's a little bit of Trader Joe's. They're all battling right now for spaces, which is great.
That's great. And Chicago's a city that loves to cook.
We love to cook. We love to eat.
Yeah, you're a big cooker, right?
I am.
What's your favorite thing? Oh, well, you're a baker.
I owned a bread bakery.
Yes.
Yeah. So I wish there was. We have great bakeries. We really do in Chicago. But I've seen some concepts in New York. New England has a few that we're hoping will come to Chicago. I'm selfish about. I love to see that, so I'm hoping to see those come in.
So, how did you go from owning a bakery to what you're doing today?
It's so funny because it really is exactly what I was doing. The goal was to just, what I do for a living. I roll out stores for other companies, and a partner of mine at the time, we said, what could we roll out? What is the concept that we think we could actually operate? And Great Harvest Bread, you may remember it. It was a concept sort of in the early 90s that was just taken off. We looked at that and we said, we could do that, but maybe even better. And we got 2 open.
What was the name?
Prairie Bread Kitchen.
Oh, good name.
Yeah, but our goal to open 100, it ended at 2. And it was a great operation. I went back to, doing commercial real estate for others. It was a great experience. And I learned how to bake bread.
What do you think kept you from taking off?
It is very hard to run a retail operation. And we underestimated how challenging it was. And staffing and a perishable product, all those things, I give credit to retailers who do it well, because it's not easy. And some retailers make it look easy. It's never easy, so.
What did you learn from that experience that transitioned into your current career?
That's a great question, because I look at any retail concept, especially restaurant, I walk in and I look at their fixtures, their finishes, their signage, and I think, you spent too much money, and this is, it's a bad model. Or I think, you have done everything right. I see how you've contained costs, but still provided a great experience, right? So it challenged me to look at every retail concept different. Here in New York, I saw one this morning, kind of a QSR healthy food, and I just loved it. But I also looked at their food offerings. I thought, that's a lot. There's a lot of food. And so with a lot of food, there's a lot of waste, and, but they seem to be doing okay. I'm not going to name them, but the food was just excellent. I'd love to see them come to Chicago.
A thing you're looking at is menu size, like not offering too much.
Staffing, menu size, yeah.
And when you look at the finishes, give me a specific, because this isn't my world. What's a thing that you might spend less money on but still offers a good experience?
Architectural element. So I can't tell you how many retailers we've worked with, and you talk to them and you're in a space and they go, well, I hope I have room for my cloud feature. And they're like, okay. And it might be some architectural element that they want in every single location. And to them, it's so important. It's so expensive. And I look at it and I say, do you really need it? Is it adding to does a customer appreciate it? So it's those little things, right? There are certain retailers that would never do that. And yet you walk in, you think this is a nice, warm, friendly experience. I like it. And they did it for far less money.
Yeah. So it's really about, what the overall vibes are. And if you could do that a little bit cheaper, then you're better off.
I think we've probably all been in retailers where you recognize, the furniture is so cheap it affects the experience, right? So there's a balance where this is great, and you might not even realize, this wasn't expensive at all.
Yeah.
But you love the experience. And then you've probably been in ones that were very expensive and didn't appreciate it at all. So, yeah.
One great example of that is if you're with the owner or manager of a retail location or a restaurant, and they give you a tour, and they're pointing out all of these things that they're so proud of. On the one hand, you're really impressed, but on the other hand, I'm like, boy, I would have never noticed that if you didn't point it out.
We had, in the bakery that I owned, we had a mill. We actually milled our own flour. We had a 24-inch grist mill in its own private room, and we put a big window so that customers could see into the mill room. That mill was not cheap. Milling flour is hard, and ultimately we realized nobody cared. It's such a shame, but they really didn't know. And if you said, well, we mill the flour, they go, oh, I didn't know that. Like, well, you could have just looked at the window and seen it. But if people aren't tuned to that, they're going to miss it. And you could buy flour and have a great product. So,
Not that long ago, we had the CEO of Handel's Ice Cream on, and she said they did locations where you could see them making the ice cream, and you were ordering from that, and there were these big, lot more square feet, all this visible. And then she said, yeah, people don't really care.
Yeah, if the ice cream's good, they're going to buy it.
It's just like a window where you pick up the ice cream. Everybody's happier. They're spending less money.
Yeah.
Well, Wally, thank you so much. This has just flown by. I feel like I caught up. Well, first of all, two things. One, I learned a little bit more about Chicago that I didn't know about, one of my favorite cities. And I learned a little bit more about you and the bread business.
There you go. Well, hey, my first podcast. This is kind of fun.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I could have sworn we had you on before.
No.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Wally.
Awesome. Thanks, Jane.
And if you want to hear more interviews, audio retail tours, and new research insights, you can subscribe to Where We Buy on the iPhone podcast app or on Spotify. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for Where We Buy. And we're also on the web at wherewebuy.show. And that is a wrap.
Awesome.